We're live, so do the introduction.
Did you put a title?
Oh no.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Hey guys, don't know how much of me that you can see, but welcome back to another live lecture on my channel. We've got more special guests joining us in the days to come, so I hope you'll keep in touch. And if you missed the episodes, you can head over to YouTube, where they're all recorded and posted on YouTube. Today, our special guest is Sandrine, and she is going to be talking about the incredible topic of the components of understanding from the book. Enjoy.
Thanks, Charlie. Hi guys, and we're back. So I don't know if you remember, we did a little chat on communication a while back, and today we're doing one specifically on what is called the ARC triangle. They're the makeup of what makes understanding.
That's it.
Right? So we'll be covering this today in the lecture. Please make sure, we can't quite see the comments because we're quite far from the screen, but at the end of this lecture we will also be answering all questions that you might have. Now, what are the components of understanding and what does that actually mean? So in any relationship that you have with someone, the reason why people get along with each other is because they understand each other, right? So if you have ever had trouble not understanding someone or a group, it's very likely that you've had some very basic components missing, some very basic information missing that has made that you didn't understand that person, if that makes sense. So today, what are we going to cover today in this workshop?
We're going to cover an overview of the ARC triangle and their definitions. We're going to give you an example of each component point of the triangle. Examples of ARC in use.
So how do we use it in life in general?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to go over.
Yeah, good.
Good.
So next, this is like really techy and super cool. Okay, so the first point that we're going to cover, so ARC. Now, ARC means different things, right? So it's affinity, reality, and communication. And when you have those three things in place, it brings about an understanding. You're going to see a bit later on as we go along how that actually works in practice. Now, the first point that we're going to cover is reality. So what is reality?
So reality here is defined as the solid objects, the real things in life.
So like this.
Yeah.
So solid objects, things that we can agree are real in life. So what would be some examples of that?
So we agree that this is an iPad here.
So it's a solid object.
It's a solid object, yeah, that we agree on, right?
Makes sense?
Obviously there's different types of reality though. There's a common reality, so one we agree on.
Okay.
There's your reality.
Yeah.
And others' reality. So
Yeah.
what's some examples, Sandrine, of your reality that I might not have or share?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So sometimes in life I have had something that I believe is a certain way, but you might not believe is a certain way. For example, I love seafood. Who out there watching this right now loves seafood? Like I could literally eat seafood every day for the rest of my life. You?
I hate seafood. Can't stand it, detest it, the smell, the consistency. Yeah, the whole experience for me is just no good.
Okay, so he hates seafood. I love seafood. So my reality is that seafood is delicious.
Yeah, and my reality is that seafood is disgusting.
Okay, so who's right? No, it's not about that. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's an example of my reality and your reality.
Yep. And then there's others' reality. So, you know, not necessarily, you know, that other people, other groups might have.
Ah, so for
Reality.
example, I get that. Others' reality could be, for example, okay, maybe like a religious group.
Yeah, but it particularly comes up in religious groups or different cultures.
Yeah.
Different cultures agree to different moral standards, and they, you know, some things in one culture might be completely acceptable, but in a Western culture it's not. So
Yeah.
a good example would be, you know, the Chinese feel it's acceptable to eat cats and dogs.
Okay, that's a bit intense.
As an example, but
Fair
here
enough.
in Western culture, particularly in England, we don't agree with that. because we have
they're
our
our pets.
little doggies and our little cats at home.
They're
so
our pets.
yeah, it's our pets.
Or, like in Australia, Australians eat kangaroos. So that's their reality. It's a fact, they eat kangaroos.
They eat kangaroos.
They eat Skippy. They eat their national emblem. Yeah, Skippy. He's like a little... Haven't you not seen the movie Skippy with a kangaroo?
Oh, okay.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so that would be others' reality.
Yeah.
Okay. But then what is common reality?
So common is things that we agree on.
So me and you.
Me and you.
So what could be an example of a common reality? We both agree that Charlie Wackley is a legend.
There you go. We obviously
He did not pay me to say that.
We obviously mentioned earlier that we agree on the solid things, etc.
Yeah, we both agree that my hair is brown.
Yep, lovely and
Common
brown.
reality.
Good, so that's reality
Okay.
in a loop. Let's move on to the next point.
Okay, good, so we've done that. Okay.
So the next point is affinity.
A.
So affinity is here defined as emotional response, the feeling of affection or lack of it.
So like love.
Yeah, so love or lack of it as well.
Okay.
So affinity is in a sliding scale from the bottom to the top. So love at the top,
Hate at the bottom.
hate at the bottom.
Like hate, but then there's like love.
Ah.
Did I get? Yeah, good.
Yeah, so love and affection is also the willingness to occupy the same space as something. Okay. So if you love something and you have affinity for it, as in high affinity, you generally want to be close to it or you want to be in the same space as it. You know?
That makes sense.
And things, I guess, you don't have affinity with, you generally walk across to the other side of the road if you don't want to be close to someone, or I don't know, you don't like a particular person, so you don't ask them to come to your birthday party, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, or for example, when we've had a fight, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, and then I go in the other room.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
example.
generally because the affinity, the level of affection for the other person has dropped a bit. Or if you see like, I don't know, like a smelly person who's, or like
You see a smelly person?
You smell.
Or...
Yeah. If you like run into someone who's insane and who's screaming on the street, I don't have a lot of affection for that person necessarily.
No, you don't have a lot of
probably
affinity.
Scared. Yeah.
You don't want to run over and hug them.
Yeah. So I kind of probably
Yeah, whereas if you saw your friend walking along the street, like, I don't know, you saw Chloe, you'd run and you'd jump and you'd effusively meet them, right?
Yeah, but not right now.
No, not right
Because right now,
social distancing.
Yeah. So I'd do like
definitely.
a virtual high five.
That's it, yeah.
Like a distant high five.
Yeah, keep your distance, right.
But I got that. I think we got that. Have you guys got that? Good.
Good, so we've covered reality, we've covered affinity.
Yes.
And now communication.
Communication. So communication is an interchange of ideas between two terminals, between two people.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because until I read this definition, I genuinely believe or know that I've misunderstood communication.
How's that? How did you misunderstand?
Well, I always thought that communication was just talking.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Like just that was communication. But that's not what it's saying.
Okay, so an interchange as in mutual exchange. Not, so back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Like sometimes I've just talked at people, but that's not really a communication.
Okay, fine. So what's the forms of communication? Obviously we've just covered verbal communication as such.
Oh yeah, there's like physical communication.
Okay,
So
fine.
if I like hold you
Yeah.
or whatever, that's physical communication.
Sure, okay.
Or there's other types of ways that you could communicate. I could write a letter to my friends.
Yeah.
I could write them an email, call them,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook. This is a form of communication.
Yeah.
It's
Art, even. I guess you could
Art.
paint them a picture.
Yeah.
What else could we think of? Other forms of communication. There's loads nowadays, right, with social media. And...
Yeah. TikTok is a form of communication.
Yeah, sure.
But it's like a one way because you're kind of getting the communication. But then you can like, comment, and exchange communication.
True.
Okay, makes sense. So,
Good.
communication is the most important part of the ARC triangle. As without communication, you cannot have affinity or reality.
Okay, so how would that be, Sandy?
Okay, so if I didn't talk to you in the first place, I wouldn't know that green is your favorite color.
As in if you didn't know, if you didn't have anything to talk about,
No,
the reality point.
But even if I just didn't communicate in the first place, it's saying here communication is the most important part.
Yes.
So if I didn't come up to you and communicate to you, I wouldn't know that green is your favorite color.
Yeah. Establish a reality.
So that's a reality.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that you're a Scientologist. So then we wouldn't have that reality as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that you like to exercise, which I also like.
Sure.
So we wouldn't have that reality, which then in turn created the affinity.
Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because let's say you're at a party and there's a really hot girl or guy and you really like them, or you think you like them. Not me.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Sandy. No.
No. But if you didn't talk to them, if you didn't communicate with them, how would you know what you have in common? Well, you wouldn't, because you haven't spoken to them.
That's it.
So you have to kind of like speak to someone so that you know what you have in common. It kind of makes sense.
Good.
Common sense.
Okay. Fine. So it might be said then that the triangle, the ARC triangle, begins with communication, as you just said, right?
Yeah.
Which then brings into existence affinity and reality.
Yeah, makes sense. I agree with that. Do you guys agree with that? I think it's true.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay. And it says here, these three terms, affinity, reality and communication, all add up to understanding.
Okay, let's demo it now. Right? So let's say I said to you, babe, I have an example. Luke really, really, really wants to get an electric skateboard. I'm like saying no way.
Yeah, the boosted type that I can just
the
speed
really
to the
fancy,
organ.
crazy electrical skateboard.
That's it.
So let's use the ARC triangle to bring about understanding.
Okay.
So
I really want to get this electric skateboard.
I don't think you need it. Why?
Because there's a couple of reasons why. One, it's fantastic. Two, I will look super cool on it. And three, it will save me 45 minutes a week. And then when you multiply that across 52 weeks of the year, it just saves me loads of time. Time is money, so therefore I'm going to save money by having the skateboard, right?
Okay.
Can you not see that? If I'm paid, say I was paid, I don't know, £100 an hour, how many hours have I saved there?
Lots.
There you go.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh.
And also we can ride it together in the sun.
Affinity.
Yeah, affinity. Yeah. I'm giving her more reality on it because I could explain what it can do, what the purpose of it is.
And you're doing that through
ARC.
communication. You're communicating about it and I'm getting the ideas.
That's it, yeah.
And so now it brings about understanding. Okay, well I can understand why you think you need $1,000 skateboard.
Good, so I'll order that when we finish this.
Yeah, maybe we need to communicate a bit more about that one.
We definitely need to communicate a bit more because I'm not going to have that skateboard.
Yeah, definitely not going to happen. But can you guys see how the ARC triangle comes about? Like, for example, if you're at a work party and you see your boss. Well, in order to establish affinity, degree of liking, you're going to have to find things that you have in common, and the only way you're going to find that out is through communicating with them.
So I guess you could use this tool, right, to improve any interpersonal relationship, whether that's at work, at home, with your mum, with your children even.
Yeah, or even in the streets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
So give me an example of how you would do that. Say, as an example, we went down to the market and the lady behind the till was pretty upset and making coffee. How would you build the ARC there?
I mean, I'm quite generally I personally think that I'm quite good at that. Because the main thing that I do when I go out and see people or like meet strangers, I genuinely find something about them that I have reality with.
Good. So
Like
reality.
so I find something that I'm genuinely interested
Good.
in them. So it could be like, but be genuine, because otherwise people can pick up when you're being fake, and it's like, it's weird.
And then what do you do with that?
So then for example, I'm like, oh, I love your shoes, but I genuinely love their shoes. So they're like, oh, common reality. And so we like each other
So
more.
you communicate,
Yeah.
and then you build some affinity.
Yeah, we build some affinity, and I'm like, I love your shoes. And they're like, thanks, I love my shoes too.
Yeah.
And so now we're like, oh, I really like you. So we're talking more about the shoes, and the communication increases. And
And
then
you start talking about all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
and
where to buy the shoes.
then the next minute they're coming over for tea.
We're
They're best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she gets a free coffee and cake. Typically, this happens a lot
That's
using ARC.
Yeah.
She gets tea and cake all the time, which I appreciate.
Yeah. But I think the main point is you have to be genuine. You can't fake it.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of things, it isn't about fake it till you make it. You can't fake it because you won't make it.
Okay, so tip number 1, find something you genuinely are interested in
Yeah.
someone. Communicate about that.
Yeah. Or even like, what's one thing that we can all agree on right now? We're all stuck indoors. We can all agree on that, right? Because it's
Yeah.
a fact. The world can agree on that. The world has a common reality on the fact that we're all stuck indoors. So if you speak about that, you're gonna have common reality with people, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's the case. I mean, guys, just so you know, by the way, a reminder that if you want all this information, you can find it online at the Scientologyvolunteerminister.org website. The information is completely gratis, it's completely free, and you can access it at any given moment. The reason why often you see people do well in life, and the reason why you're sometimes like amazed at how well people get along and how they're doing it, is because they are using this basic information. Sometimes they might not even know they're doing it, but very often you'll see that the most successful people around you are constantly using the ARC triangle to bring about understanding with someone. And don't think that, after speaking with someone for 10 minutes, but you're still not seeing the same, having the same idea about something, that it doesn't work. You have to communicate. It's always the answer.
Yeah.
Right? Good.
Good. So there's one other thing I want to go over. It's something I found in the Scientology Handbook, which I found quite useful. So have you ever noticed in general in life, your ARC can lower suddenly? Or like, you have an argument, or you have troubles at work, and then you just feel down at home. Even though you're with your wife and family and everything's great at home, but you still feel down.
Like a bit like, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a great tool that you can use, which it mentions in the Scientology Handbook, is to communicate with someone you have very high ARC with. So it can be about anything, can be general chit-chat on the phone. Just give that friend a call and just say, hey, how you doing? And talk about anything other than your troubles and the problems you're having.
I mean, that makes sense, because when I have a bad day or whatever, I always come and talk to you.
Yeah.
Or I'll go speak to a best friend or something, and then I feel better.
That's it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
Good. So I hope that has helped answer some of your questions on what brings about the components of understanding. Just to recap, you can get all this information completely free on the Scientology Volunteer Minister website. The link will be put down below. Again, as a general pointer, really the main thing you can do is find something you have in common with someone, or something you genuinely find interesting in that person and like. You will always find something. Always. There is always something you're bound to agree on with that person, and then talk about that, and you'll see how automatically the affinity, the degree of liking, will increase, and you're just going to naturally want to communicate more with them, and it will bring about an understanding with that person. Make a sense?
Great. Perfect.
Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this lecture. It was an absolute pleasure to be here today and to go over these pointers with you. If you have any questions, any feedback, please comment them below. It will be amazing to hear what you guys thought of this lecture today. And if you found it helpful in any way, shape or form, please share it with your friends and on your page. And yeah, so you've been listening to Sandy and Luke. We've just covered the ARC triangle, the components of understanding. Stay safe, guys. Stay indoors and speak soon. Bye now.
Bye. I don't think so. No.